More excitement and adventure await us on the second day of our 3-day trip, and we are raring to go. Good morning, Andy. What are we doing today?
We went to Titus Canyon for mining camps. We've got a GoPro mount.
All right. We gonna have fun?
Yeah.
We started day 2 by rolling out of our overnight stop at Beatty, Nevada. Titus Canyon is today's first adventure. The majority of this 27-mile route is one-way only, and Beatty is the closest town to the beginning. Titus Canyon is a classic slice of Death Valley National Park, and a must-see for anyone with a high-clearance vehicle. Today, we are going to see if it lives up to the hype. To give him a break from driving in the dust, I suggest that Charlie go first. Like many heavily traveled dirt roads, Titus Canyon has a washboard surface. Anything between fast enough to smooth out and slow enough to crawl is going to be unpleasant. The geology and the road get more interesting as we start to climb. Whoa! Look at that view! Every turn gives us a new look at the jagged, multicolored mountains. Road conditions in the desert can change in an instant, but other than the occasional bumpy section, the road is in remarkable condition. It's an awesome view. We are treated to a spectacular view at the top of Red Pass. Oh wow! Look at that. At over 5,000 feet, there are still traces of snow. The terrain remains stunning as we start our descent. About an hour and 15 minutes after we left Beatty, we arrive at the remains of the boomtown of Leadfield. Leadfield was built on wild speculation and shifty marketing. Enough remains of the town to make for some interesting exploring, and a short hike across the dry wash takes you there. In 1926, small lead ore deposits were exaggerated and aggressive promotions were used to sell 330,000 shares in the Western Lead Mines Company. The town sprang up as hopeful miners flocked to the site to make their fortune. A post office opened and a newspaper started. But it all ended in less than a year when everyone realized there were no viable ore deposits. We checked out the old buildings and tried to guess how they were used.
But I think they need a horse or something like that.
So what do you see?
I'm seeing a house that got destroyed like that. So, yeah, I think it's a mine, or there might be a pipe at that end because it looks awfully black. You guys want to come take a look?
All the mine shafts we found were understandably closed off for safety, but you can still take a peek.
Guys want to come check out what they mined? Well, obviously.
Andy was sure he had found a major supply of lead that could make us all rich.
If it's sparkling and it's black, then it's definitely lead. You guys want to see a close-up of it?
It's easy to draw parallels to present-day conmen and boom-bust cycles. Leadfield is just an example of how this sort of thing has been going on all through history.
Lead.
Whoa, what are you going to do with it?
Go back. Where lead goes.
After thoroughly exploring Leadfield, we move on down the canyon. The canyon starts to narrow and the striped rock walls are now half-billion-year-old sedimentary formations. A few miles west of Leadfield, we reach the native Petroglyph site adjacent to the road. Unfortunately, we find that easy access has led to significant vandalism. It certainly adds interest to the trip, but we've seen far better preserved petroglyphs in less traveled locations of the desert. And after a short while, we move on. The sheer walls and rugged landscape make it feel like we're driving through a movie set. This is absolutely the type of experience I'd hoped for on this trip. I can't get over how this drive is so exceptionally entertaining. Sharing it with my son makes it even better. So is this cool, Andy?
Yeah.
I'm wearing a big grin, and it's about to get bigger as we enter the famous Narrows. The nearly sheer walls are now towering hundreds of feet above us, and there are places where the road is only 20 feet wide. There's no question, this is by far the deepest and most narrow canyon I've ever driven through. Partway through the Narrows, we come to a bend where the rock has a large undercut. A little cave. You want to go in the little cave?
Sure.
Yep. We're going to stop here. Andy gets right to work building a table and chair and goofing around. What might be lurking in there? What is that? I take the opportunity to get a close view of the mineral deposits and the scratches in the walls from the rocks carried down by periodic flash floods. At this point, we're only about a mile from the end of the canyon, but it's a stunning mile. The canyon ends all too soon in a wide view of Death Valley and a parking lot at the end of the two-way portion. For those wanting to hike or bike the Narrows of Titus Canyon, this is your starting point. Just a couple miles of dirt road take us back to pavement, and we enjoy the sensation of smooth asphalt on our way to Ubehebe Crater. Just an infant in geologic time, Ubehebe Crater is only a few thousand years old. Instead of being formed by flowing lava and billowing ash, it was created by a violent steam explosion. Magma rising toward the surface turned groundwater to steam. As the pressure underground increased, the earth burst open in a rock-shattering explosion that created this 500-foot deep, half-mile wide crater. Instead of ash or lava, the surrounding area was covered with pulverized rock. Trails lead around the rim to the bottom of the crater and to nearby Little Hebe Crater. We took a walk to check things out from a different vantage point. As usual, Andy found a different way to interact with his environment. We spent so much time in Titus Canyon, now we were running out of daylight. We decide to head to the Chloride Cliffs area and get in one more adventure before the sun goes down. The turnoff is easy to miss, but we find it the second time and start out making good time toward Chloride City. We normally use four-wheel drive whenever we are on dirt roads. It improves stability and it helps us avoid losing momentum if we hit an unexpected soft patch. Up to this point in the trip, all the roads we have traveled would have been passable by a two-wheel drive vehicle with adequate ground clearance. Sections of the road require four-wheel drive, and we're having a blast.
Oh, this looks rough.
The sun is nearly down when we arrive at Chloride City. We end up parking in front of the gravesite of James McKay. It's been a long day, and a sarcastic answer slips past my dad filter when Andy asks a reasonable question.
Why is it called James McKay?
Because he's buried right there.
Why?
Because he died? He was probably one of the many miners drawn to the area, but today, nobody knows anything about James McKay. All right, let's go take a look. Chloride Cliff Silver Mine was established in 1871. The town of Chloride City didn't form until the mining booms at nearby Rhyolite and Bullfrog. That brought prospectors and investors to the area in 1905. The nearby mines were worked off and on to some degree until 1941. Now, a few decaying buildings and the typical mining camp debris are all that's left. We want to get to Chloride Cliffs before sunset, so before long, we are on our way. As it gets darker, navigating the many crossroads in the area becomes more difficult. An intimidating shelf road leads us to an impressive Death Valley overlook. We get there just in time to watch the last of the sunset. Looking down on the pavement-bound tourists below, I'm grateful for the ability to explore these remote areas. We've seen many iconic Death Valley locations, and I'm already thinking of next time. However, we're not done with this trip yet. Tomorrow, we will encounter truly unique places and our toughest obstacles. Looks like it gets narrower. Yeah, that's not a place for a truck to go.